So much going on out there. Of course, managers under pressure. This is the time. Do they make it into the Christmas and New Year period, or do they go by the wayside? Big pressure on Julian Lopetegui at West Ham United. Big pressure on Gary O'Neill at Wolves. And now West Ham play Wolves on Monday night, live on talkSPORT. Will either of those managers be in place come kick-off on Monday night? It's awful to ask the question, but we've got to ask it, because when the fans of your own clubs are turning on you, you know something's gone badly wrong. And now it's talkSPORT's understanding this morning that Graham Potter has been sounded out by Wolves and by West Ham. This is Graham Potter, Simon, you call a flake. Bless you. Would you like to rejoin us?
Indeed, I'm back in the room.
Is he still a flake? Should either Wolves or West Ham be entertaining him?
I think he's probably a very good coach. I think he needs a personality infusion. And I think to run big clubs, I think it's part and parcel of the modern day managerial requirements to stand up and be bold and strong. Yes, of course, it's a fundamental. You've got to know what you're bloody doing. I mean, that's a fundamental. But there's also this extra ingredient that's required, and I don't think he has it. I think it's great at Brighton in a structure that worked very well, that was built around him, that created opportunities, that's proven to be even more successful after he's departed, which is in part, of course, a credit to him.
Yeah.
But when you land in the big world like Chelsea, couldn't cope. Now, whether West Ham, Wolves fit into that category, I don't know. But I admire him as a coach. I don't necessarily have the same regard for him as a personality that I think connects through with the ambitions of a big football club. Now, I don't think Wolverhampton Wanderers is a big football club, so I don't care who that outrages. I think it's a decent-sized football club.
So you told that Wolves fan a few moments ago.
But he wasn't listening.
He liked that.
He wasn't listening because he was, he said that West Ham played in the same leagues. Well, I remember Steve Ball kicking around footballs in the third tier of English football. So I do remember Wolves being further down the pyramid, but that doesn't mean they're not a great football club.
Nicky, Graham Souness in this very studio, sitting in that very seat, would tell Simon and myself, well, you two aren't football people. How Simon isn't a football person, I don't know, having owned a top football club. But that's by the by. You very much are a football person. Graham Potter, you having him? Should Wolves be interested in him? Should West Ham be sounding him out, as talkSPORT understands they're doing?
I did my coaching badges with Graham, and one thing I'll say about him is he knows his stuff, and he's technically very good on the grass.
Knows what stuff?
He knows. He's basically a football geek. You tell him, ask him any question of European football, he'll come with an answer. He's great with analysis work on the grass, and I think it's really massive in modern day football analysis. I think they don't get talked about enough. I think it's huge. He's obsessed with that. On the grass, he's very, very good at technical side, development players as he did at Brighton. But I have to agree with Simon. I think these big clubs, and I consider West Ham a big club. I don't care what anyone says, they're a big club. And I think to do that, and I do believe you have to have character, and I mentioned that about Man United managers before, you've got to have personality, you've got to have character, and he is a bit reserved, Graham, and you've seen that when he was at Chelsea. And that, for me, would probably be his only downfall, but certainly on a football pitch, he knows what he's doing.
So you would say for either of these clubs who are in need of something, that's for sure, he'd be the right fit.
He could do a lot worse than Graham Potter. He knows his stuff. And again, what level is a big club? People will argue all day, but I think West Ham are a big, big, big club, and they have a lot of eyes on them. They've got a big stadium. They've got a big fan base. Could he go and handle that? The time would tell. But certainly on a football pitch, he would take both of them teams into a better place.
If you're Potter and you actually have this luxury of being able to choose, which I'm surprised he does, but if he does, right, I would be looking at West Ham. Not because I've got any issues with Wolverhampton Wanderers, but look at the spend, look at the change in direction. The caller was right to point out the Wolverhampton Wanderers at one point were in an upward direction, qualifying for Europe. That was when they were spending money, when the ownership model was spending money. The last 2 seasons, they've stripped out their best players. Pedro Neto's gone to Chelsea. Kilman's gone, whatever you think of him, I think he's a decent centre-half, has gone to West Ham. Other players, Ruben Neves has gone in previous seasons because they are either trying to comply with PSR, which I think is their fundamental, or they've lost their motivation. So, but the other side of the equation is West Ham are having a go. They're spending money. So their fans are frustrated because they, for once, Sullivan and his gang are giving the manager a decent amount of money to change the way that the team's playing. So if you're going to be Potter, where would you want to go? You'd probably want to go to the environment as trying to be progressive rather than the environment as trying to manage itself economically.
Sure. You heard Nicky on Potter. You cannot deny, Simon, that Potter did a good job at Brighton.
I didn't. I've never sought to deny. I'm talking about what he did at Chelsea. I take away things from people. People are not going to like. I don't like weakness in the moments of adversity. I think you are at your strongest when it's on top. When it comes on top is the moment that you've got to come out fighting. And I don't like managers sitting in press conference telling me about the psychological pressures that they're under, or how someone told them to drop dead constitutes being a death threat. I don't admire that. So I take those things away and I store them in the back of my mind.
That's weakness.
And I create biases to some extent. And I say, right, well, going forward, not sure about you. Like I wasn't sure about Hassan Hüttl having a snivel at the side of the pitch because his team had beaten Liverpool. I thought that was pathetic. I did. But that's me. It doesn't have no one else has to concur with that. I want my leaders to lead, to be definite, to be in the moment. Everybody can lead when you're winning. Everybody can lead when you're getting on with everybody. It's the guys that come out that you want next to you in the trenches when it comes on top, when the muck and bullets are flying, when it ain't going your way. Those are the real leaders, and there's not enough about.
Is he right, Nicky? You're listening to that. Is he right?
Yeah, 100%. I think, and that goes for players as well. It's all right having these great players who do well against the rubbish teams and they score 2 or 3 goals here or there and have man of the match performances in the bottom 3 teams, but you want players that can go and challenge the best players. That's happening at Man United, that's happening in certain other clubs. And I do believe, I agree with Sam, it's hard not to agree with him when he's saying you want leaders to go and lead and stand up and take it on the chin. And I've never been a manager. I'd like to be, but I've never been one. But as a player, I want to look to the left of me and there's a right of me and see people that will stand up and take a load of flack, take it on the chin and rise above it. And then that's the people you want to lead.
Who did that specifically when you played, that you thought, no matter what, he's right beside me, I can count on him?
Well, I think that's why we were so successful, because it was pretty much every single one of them. And that people think I'm talking rubbish, but the true fact, even the ones that weren't the best players, even the ones that were squad players and come on off the bench, I knew for a fact when I looked at them, I would go to war with them lads because I know they'd chat. They wouldn't shirk anything.
Like whom? Off the bench?
Solskjaer coming off the bench. I mean, he would not shirk anything. He wouldn't shirk playing against Liverpool, Anfield. I come off the bench a few times. Ronnie Johnson come off the bench a few times. Teddy Sheringham was on the bench a few times. These players are ones that you want. You know for a fact, no matter who you play him, they'd run through a brick wall for you. And if you're getting beat 5-0, they won't hide from the ball. They go and demand the ball and get the ball. And going back to the managers, they've got to lead the football club. They've got to lead it. And I don't care if it's Gary O'Neill or Pep Guardiola, whoever that's got to be. You have got to take the flak. You've got to stand up and be counted. And you've got to be able to go into a press conference after the game and take all the crap and just stand there and go, yeah, that's my job. I'm taking that on board. But when I go back behind the scenes, I'm going to demand more off the players.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.